You've interviewed Do, Gary Vee, Amy Porterfield, and so many more. How did they come about?
I was like, he is not about to reply to me on Instagram. Little tip I'm giving you.
Erika Kramer is the queen of confidence. She's got millions of podcast downloads, written 2 books, and today she's teaching you how to podcast.
Do you have the most engaged community? They listen every single week. What do you think is the key to building a community like that?
When someone would share my podcast on their story to their audience, I'm like, do you understand how big that is for someone to go, I loved this episode? They're going to share it with the people that follow them and say, this was awesome. So I was like, what can I do to say thank you to these people? The mom looked at me, hugged me, and in my ear, she was like, oh, it makes me emotional. She was like, thank you so much for saving my daughter. And I just started crying. I was like, it was a podcast. I wish I would have started sooner. It can make you money, and it can make your whole business blow up, and it can get you millions of opportunities. But I think if you haven't pushed start, you don't even know what's possible. And it's like, what are you waiting for?
Welcome to How Do I Podcast, Erika, the queen of confidence.
I am so happy to be here with you in your space, girl. This is beautiful. I'm loving all the lights and the blue and the pink. Look at us, it's like a little gender reveal party.
Yes. So good. It's so good. It's so nice to have you physically here in person.
I love you.
And to be talking, I love you too, and to be talking about your podcast and to be talking about all the amazing things that you do. First question that we ask everyone to the podcast is, what is a podcast that's regularly in your rotation and why do you keep coming back for more?
Ooh, that's a good question. So, Diary of a CEO, I have it regularly in my rotation because I feel like he talks to the coolest people that I don't know about.
Yes.
Like sometimes it's famous people, but other times I'm like, who is this person? And they're so interesting.
Yeah.
I love his podcast so damn much. Who else? The Powerhouse Women podcast, Lindsay Schwartz.
Oh, yeah.
I really love her show because she's just helping and empowering women all over in America. And then she does events with 800 women. And I'm always like, goals. So I really love that show as well.
Good. I think Diary of a CEO is such an interesting one. So many people say it. And I think that's the coolest part is because there's something in there for everyone. And it's something that those people, you go and look them up on Instagram, they've got 200 followers. They're not huge personalities, which is really
makes
cool.
you think I could be on that show one day.
Well, you will be. You definitely will be.
Let's go.
Which, talking about that and proximity to incredible people, you have interviewed the most amazing guests. You've interviewed Do, Gary Vee, of course.
Gary, that was kill me now. Done.
Amy Porterfield and so many more, which we're going to talk about a little bit later.
Yes.
But the first thing I want to dive into with you is you have the most engaged community. I have not seen that with many other people, and they are such diehard fans for you. They listen every single week, which is really cool. What do you think is the key to building a community like that?
Oh, they harass me. They're like, I've already up to one more episodes coming. And I'm like, oh my gosh, bingers. I think that it came from social media first. I feel like Instagram kicked it off for me. So I feel like they could see me. I was showing up. One of the silly things that's so silly, but it's so impactful that I say to people is say good morning. Good morning, my love, not, hey, guys, It's one person watching you. So I'm like, good morning, my love, how are you? This is what I'm doing today, and just showing up for them and then telling them about the episode. That was one of the things you taught me. You're like, make sure you tell people you just recorded. So I do that all the time because of you. Thank you. But it's letting people be on the journey and understanding who you are and learning about you. And I think that when you care enough to show up, then they care enough about your life. And so when the podcast started coming out, I feel like they just started listening, and then I was like, I know that I have something to say. I never thought about virality. I never thought about downloads. I actually didn't even think about my audio. It was pretty shocking.
I loved the car audio. It was a vibe. It was a time.
It's embarrassing, okay? I go to, my first episode is the most downloaded ever, and still people go to it because it's got a good title. And I'm like, oh, God, should I record it again? But then I'm like, no, that's the roots.
Never.
It's the reality. So
exactly.
I think that the first year, I made sure that I connected with my audience and still do, but then I gave the best. I was like, you have 10 episodes. What are the hottest things that that your clients need to hear, these women that are listening for me? What can you say to them? And so it's so silly, but I felt like it was like a tree, and the core branches were the big pillars. And then everything from there, if I'm honest, has been a little offshoot branch from the core branch of that topic.
Yeah.
But that first year, I just hit people with the biggest and the best. If I was going to die, I'm like, these are all the things I want you to know. And I think it was so good, and people just started binging, and then I hooked them, and they stayed. And they're amazing, and I love you guys for listening. Thank you.
Which that in itself, what you did just then, like you always do stuff like that. And every comment, like I don't think you go into Spotify, every single comment you have replied to.
I know, I'm so grateful.
Like we've spoken to the most amazing podcasters already, and every single one that's successful, that has a community, has said something along that same vein. Like you do not have a successful podcast without your listeners.
100%. Like, you don't have a successful anything without your clients, without your followers, without your community. And I think I was a foster kid and I love community. Like I like dressing, and I know we're going to talk about pink later, but like I literally make friends with everyone. And so like I used to think it was like $1 million when someone would share my podcast on their story to their audience. I'm like, do you understand how big that is for someone to go, I loved this episode. They're going to share it with the people that follow them and say, this was awesome. To me, that's $1 million. So I was like, what can I do to say thank you to these people? And so I'm always like, thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you. I love you. Like I say as much as I can to them, like I really appreciate you. And I think they feel that appreciation. And we're nothing without the people that listen.
Yeah, it feels so genuine.
Yeah.
What's been the coolest message or comment that you've received?
Well, I just went on tour in America. I'm going to don't cry because it was such going overseas to see your audience, like, for whatever reason, I think because I'm like, Erika from America. So corny, but like it worked, right? So I think everyone thought I was in America, even though I live in Australia. I've been here for 16 years. So I think our listenership in the United States was the first one, and it's still the same, 40% is American listeners. And to go to America for our book tour and see women in the audience, I had a woman come up to me at a Barnes & Noble's. It wasn't time yet. I wasn't dressed. Like it was a full trip in Chicago. And I was getting ready, and the mom looked at me, came up and hugged me. And in my ear, she was like, it makes me like emotional. She was like, thank you so much for saving my daughter. And I just started crying. And then her daughter came and she just hugged me and like told me this whole story about how she was in a domestically violent relationship, her mom, and that person was beating her, and like she couldn't get her mom out of it. And then she got her mom out, she got herself out, she quit her job. And she wrote me this letter. She gave me the letter. And like I was like, I need to do a podcast episode where I read the letter, because I thought about you. You would say that. Haven't done it yet, but I will, Kelly. I got you. But I was like, it was a podcast. Like, it was a podcast, and she quit her job and left a domestically violent relationship, and it was a free podcast, and it impacted her mom, and now she's, like, happy, and I don't know. It was just, like, I can't even tell you, like, and I will tell you thousands. My husband the other day went through our testimonials. He's like, what is all this? I'm like, these are screenshots from the podcast, like, thousands of testimonials. So I'm just like, what do we do with them? We need to put them up somewhere.
They can be your new wallpaper in your office.
Oh, shut up. I will do that. Can someone do that? Who can do that? The wallpaper company. It kills me.
So cool.
And by the way, you need to care about that.
Yeah.
If you have a podcast, if you're doing anything where you're adding value or supporting someone, if you don't care about the comments, about the messages, about like the minute and the day that I forget or don't care about that, I'm done. Like, that's the whole point.
Exactly.
It's incredible.
Yeah. It's so powerful. And I think like just even seeing you walk into rooms, because I've been to a couple of events with you, and you have lines of people coming to see you. And I think that all comes back to a couple of things that you do there. One of them is really thinking about those topics as well. Like, what do they need to hear? It's not because you want to talk about it. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, this has happened in my life and I want to talk about this and share this with you. But you're always with those, it's like, what would they get out of it? What can I give back to them? Yeah. Which is so incredible. That makes me so emotional too. Like, it's the whole point, right? Like, what is the point of having a podcast?
I know.
If you don't care about your people.
100%. And I remember one of my mentors, early days, I was like, I have to answer every DM. And she's like, you cannot possibly. And I was like, I can. And then it was this little bit toxic thing that I was answering every DM. And my mom would come from America when she was well, and she'd be like, Erika, what are you doing? And I'm like, 1 second. And she's like, are you voice messaging? Who are you voice messaging? I'm like, my followers are asking me questions. And she's like, what? And then my mentor said to me, look, one day in your business, you're going to get to the point where you're going to have a boardroom of team, and you're going to go, all right, read me the best 5 messages. What's the best thing that you got? She's like, you're going to have to do that. Like, you're not going to be able to answer every DM. And that like breaks my soul, because I love my people and I want to read everything. But it's true. Like, so then in my business, it's important that none of us forget. Because like my husband doesn't see that. Like when he can come to events and see women cry and hug us, like he was bawling in California, like in Los Angeles, he started crying. He was like, oh my God, like this is the impact we're having. And I realized he doesn't get to see that. He doesn't get the DMs. You know, he's doing like the back end stuff that's not that fun. But for him to see that, for Nina on our team to read a message and go, guys, in the Asana, read this. Like, and I think I see Gary Vee, CEO, I watch his behind the scenes because I'm like, I love his calendar.
Yes.
And my husband's like, that calendar is the worst. I'm like, his calendar is my dream. I love it. And like, he has that where they talk about the impact, because that's why we do this. Like, you can have all the money in the world, you could have all the downloads, all the followers, but like, if you don't give a shit anymore, and if people don't care about what you do, and you're not impacting someone, what's the point? You know, so it's so important for us.
Yeah, and I love that story as well. It's about the impact that you did have, because we talk about that all the time. Like, you know, you are literally in someone's ears while they're walking their dog or doing their washing or driving their car.
With their babies.
Yeah, literally with their babies all the time. But, you know, you have that opportunity to really change their perspective, to be that friend that they need, to be the pep talk that they need, which you do so well, by the way. Every Tuesday I'm like, yes, this is what I need in my life.
You need to listen to big sister Erika, Auntie Erika.
So cool. But you have that power to really help them, which is really cool. And I love that so much. If you were going to give someone 3 tips on how to build the community, being in the DMs is one of those that I think is so key. Is there anything else that you'd add to that?
I feel like having a daily presence on whatever platform you want to be on, if it's LinkedIn, if it's YouTube, if it's stories, if it's Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I really struggle with TikTok, if I'm honest, because it's too much. It's New York City. How do you find people? It's crazy. But on Instagram, like daily stories, like showing up, taking people on the journey, like showing the behind the scenes of what's happening. Not like everything's perfect. Here's my book. It's like, hi, I want to write a book. Here I am writing the book. Oh my God, what cover should we do? Like they want to be a part of it, like a fly on the wall, right? So that's the first thing. I think the second thing that's really, really important is to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Like, why does it matter that you do this podcast? You know, like you want to help people who are building out a podcast to share their message, and there's people sitting on their message, and there's someone who needs their message. If you're listening to this and you haven't pushed record or push publish, and you don't know what that could do for someone. So I think when you are invested solely in why you do what you do, then you actually don't need to be convinced to show up. You don't need to be convinced to build community. You just go out there and you do it. And I think the third thing is going out to events. And I know we're going to talk about this, but like going out and being there. Like, how does someone know that Alicia's in the building? How does someone know that I'm in the building? You gonna know I'm in the building. Like, I take responsibility for my energy, even if it's not my event, you know? And so when you do that, you have this magnetism, this warmth, this eye contact, this, I want you to come up to me. I want you to be like, oh my God, I love your book. Or I want to give you a hug. Like, I want to connect with you. And so it's like social media in real life, and nothing sadder than meeting your heroes. And then you're like, on social media, they're amazing. And then you meet them and you're like, womp, 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 oh, this sucks. Like, I never want someone to feel like that. Like, I'm so grateful for people. And yeah, I love humans. I love strangers. I love myself. So of course I'm going to love you, you know, but I do think when you do your own internal work, you are comfortable with who you are and you give a crap about yourself, and then you're going to fall in love with humanity. And so I'm obsessed with strangers and friends.
You mentioned that people know when you walk in the room, and I think anyone who's watching this, if you're not, Erika, she has a pink hat on. She will always have a pink hat on.
I have 2 pink hats with me today.
Oh, I've got like the luggage, half the luggage is just the hats. Yeah. I can't even imagine going to America, what that was like. But, you know, you have this incredible, and I'm going to call it like a visual identity is what you have. Like when I think of you, I see this silhouette, I see this person, and Christo talks about this all the time as well, who you have interviewed as well. Is that, how can someone come up with their visual identity?
Yeah, so it was interesting because Chris said to me, like, you got to be careful because if you don't have the hat and you don't have the pink, then people don't know who you are. And I was like, I don't agree with you. And he was like, oh, tell me, because he's really into the brand, the way that he styles and dresses. And I don't know if it's because I'm a Gemini or ADH triple D, but like, I want to be able to be different, but I always keep pink. And so I think color blocking or choosing something that's yours is really important, because what we're trying to do here is be memorable. There's so many people, and I hear people like, oh, there's so many podcasts. I don't want to start my podcast because mine won't matter because there's so many. But your voice isn't out there. So if you haven't started yours, then there's not so many because your voice is missing. And so what's the point of listening? It's your X factor. It's your secret sauce. It's the way you do things. It's how you speak. It's how you dress. It's the thing that women love pink, but I'm obsessed. And there's a certain style, you know, that I wear, and I feel like my visual identity shifted from only black, and I hated pink. Hated it. I was like, black like my soul.
I can't even imagine this.
Seriously,
cannot.
The sad Erika that drank too much, that was really miserable, that lacked confidence. And then through the journey of healing and doing the inner work, I started to soften. And then I was like, what do women that I want to attract like? And then the confidence word came. And then I was like, what feels like confidence? And then I worked with a brand person back in the day. And it was like confidence didn't feel peach. Confidence didn't feel like brown. Confidence to me for women felt like pink, but it wasn't baby pink.
Nice.
We're not apologizing, girl. Okay, so it's like it needs to be strong. It used to be magenta, but that was like Erika with fake boobs and hair extensions. No shade, but that's not who I am. So I was like, when the boobs came out and the hair extensions came out, the blush came in. And it was like this blushy, feminine, powerful, not too strong, just enough. And we worked so hard with the Pantone colors to figure out, I know, it's so silly, but what is the pink?
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, that's it. And then I just thought, if you're ever going to see me, I want to be in the color, like how you have your blue, and it's branded, it matches your eyes. By the way, her eyes are beautiful. So it's like, this is matching. People start to recognize you, and we're simple creatures in our brain. So if we see, yellow, we think the McDonald's M. If we see red and black, it's like Coca-Cola, whatever. Like there's certain things. And so I really have always loved brand and branding, and I was just like, I want to have hot pink, cheetah print, sequins. Like the sequins came in and now it's out of control. And like my clients will message me and go, oh, this lady's trying to wear your sequins. And I'm like, I haven't taken sequins as mine.
I do not own them.
I don't own sequins, but I think clients are so used to me in sequin suits that when they see someone wearing a sequin suit, they're like, oh, look, you're inspiring people. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure she just bought a sequin suit. But crazy. And women come to my events, they're dressed in pink or cheetah print. So it's like, it's crazy. And then the hat, my husband was like, you have to wear the hat. I don't know why the hat started, but I love hats. And then now I can't not wear it because it's a part of the brand. So he's like, it's like Pharrell, honey. So shout out to Hamish, who is not very, fashion forward, but was very much like, you have to always have the hat because it's the piece. And I agree. It's like, it gives this essence of the Queen of Confidence, crowned. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, and
crazy.
I think it's so identifiable. Like you see you out of a sea of people and you just see the pink hat and the sequins. And the microphone people hate it when you wear the sequin suits.
I know. And I've learned how to be like, this one comes off when the Madonna, but this one stays on. And they're like, you want to keep one earring? I'm like, we're keeping an earring. He's like, okay. I don't know. I feel like it does create buzz and discussions, whatever I'm wearing, even if I'm in like sneakers, because people are like, oh, what's this? And it's fun to be able to do that with someone. Like it's connection,
Yeah. And I think it's even more important like now for podcasting, thinking about how you're going to show up, even when you're doing it like on Riverside or something like that, because we repurpose all of this.
Honey, I think about show up everywhere. Like some people are off duty. I be telling my Queen's Table ladies, I'm like, what are you doing? This is an event where we're all together. Why are you dressed like that? Like, get dressed nice, like wherever you are. Like, because then you'll want to show up on stories because you look good, because you did your makeup. Even if you're a mom, stay at home, I get it. Like, just do the top part. Wear your little robes and do your face, like brush your teeth. Like, when you feel like you look good, this is my stylist background, but like, when you feel like you look good, you want to show up. And if you don't take that time for yourself, and then that's contagious because someone's like, oh, you look nice. And then it creates conversation. And so it's really important. I remember seeing Diary of a CEO, they have the hoodies. So at the airport, they're all wearing the hoodies.
Yep.
Like it's branding, like memory, like I'm here. Do you see me? Because I'm here. And it's like, oof, cool.
I'm so excited too. And we're going to talk about it a little bit later about being before becoming, which is something you talk about all the time. And I think like how you dress is a huge part of that.
Yes.
But I know that so many people are just like itching for me to get into the guests.
Oh, yes.
Let's talk about the guests. Because as I've mentioned at the start, you've had the most phenomenal people come on.
Yeah.
How did they come about?
I know. I would never wanted to do, what I love about podcasting, friends, is that you could do whatever the hell you want. It is a great space for you to be creative. And so solo episodes, easy in my car, I'm doing them. And then I had an idea. I was like, oh, I want to interview someone. And in the early days of my show, I was not picky about who came on my show. I don't even know some of the people. I was just like, I like you. Let's talk about this, right? And that was fun.
Yeah.
But then as I started to get out into the world and start to do my thing and show up at events, Gary Vee comes all the time to Australia, and I never wanted to go because I literally have his whole thing tattooed in my brain, and I do what he says. I listen to Gary. I didn't need to go get inspired. But I was like, I'm going to go, and I'm going to pay for a VIP ticket. And remember, my husband was like, how much was that VIP ticket? And I was like, it's okay. I'm going to make it worth my while. And then I'm like saying to my publicist, do you think we could get Gary on the podcast? Like, because that would be really cool. And I also was like, that's not going to happen. Because I remember Gary being like, he's Gary Vee. Like, he gets asked a lot, and he doesn't have to say yes. So long shot, took a photo, used that to reach out to his team. And I actually have a story with Gary. Like, the reason why my business exists is because of that. And I remember when we talked about it, I think you have to have a story as to why that person needs to be on your show. Because if not, you're just like, who's the trending person? Let's talk to them. Yeah. And so that worked really well. My publicist hit them up, and they said yes. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And so Gary was amazing. And then after that, I had met someone that knew Amy Porterfield. Again, my publicist was like, we're going to try. And it made sense because my audience started to shift, which is also another cool thing about podcasting. If you start speaking to moms, but then you want to change it to moms in business, you're allowed to do that. And now, again, my husband was like, you got to be mindful now, because if you've had some heavy hitters, you have to be mindful as to who you allow. And I'll tell you, Alicia, I didn't have respect for my own show and what I actually did. Like the beautiful asset that is. Yeah. Like, I haven't sold my soul to any kind of ads, and I will at some day, but it's going to be with the right thing. Like, it's literally an asset sitting there that trust me, they tune in weekly. And so if I'm going to give them a guest, it has to be someone that they're going to be like, holy crap, this is amazing, or I really rate this person. And so then we started to go, okay, who could we speak to that our audience would want to hear? Not who's cool. And then Chris Do, I don't even think my audience knew who he was, like my audience. Yeah. But I was like, I love this guy. And not because of graphic design, but because he always speaks about the inner work. Yes. And I'm like, he's had therapy. And Gary Vee's had therapy. He told me he had therapy. I was like, oh, Gary had therapy, you know? And I taught him something about confidence. And I was like, that's kind of cool that Gary didn't know what confidence meant, and like to break that down. And, you know, so then from there, we just started thinking about who would be powerful for women in business that we're working with and speaking to that could help them with a problem that they have, and or someone cool. But it bites you in the ass, because then people are like, oh, you do have some guest. And then I'm like, yes, but I get to choose them, but also it's my show. And that's another cool thing. Like, you get to choose who you have on your show. And like, my clients love, like the podcast people love the solo episodes. So because of talking to amazing Alicia, she's analytics lover, and you're like, these episodes do well. So now I know I'm empowered with information that my episodes on their own do so well, sometimes better than a guest, no matter who the guest is. Sometimes the solos do well. So then I don't have to do that. So then it's a power play as well. You're like, I don't need to have a guest, but if I do, this is the guest I want. And sometimes you have to work hard to get it, but I feel like some of the people that are coming on in the next 6 to 8 months are going to be super exciting. And my vision is Tony Robbins, and then I can just die happy.
She's like, just be like, ticked the box.
I'm done podcasting for like a week, so I could just take a breath.
Just one week? Just only 1 week.
I know,
and then I'm back on Tuesday.
I know, I'm like, just kidding, I'm back.
So what I can see with your guests when you are reaching out to them, you're always going out to them with a what's in it for them. It's not about you. There's nothing about you in there. Yeah. And even the intent of getting them on, it's about your audience. It's not like, I want to talk to them because I want to increase my following, like all these self-serving negative things. Yes. It's all about what's in it for them and what's the impact that's going to come out of that conversation, which I think is really cool.
And it's so funny. I was watching Christo interview Caleb Ralston, and the whole beginning, it was for him. Like, he wanted to learn stuff. And I noticed myself being like, a little bit like, oh, that's not okay. But then I was like, actually, that's also a perk. I never even thought about that. So as I was like a little bit triggered, I was also like, that's kind of smart, Christo. Okay, I see you, what you're trying to do. Like, he was trying to find out how Gary did all that content and the way that and so he literally spent quite a long time at the beginning, and they didn't edit it. It was like him trying to find out, like, so did you have a rig, or how did you film? And I was just like, wow, okay. But then I look at Christo's life and his business, and he's increasing, and he's got people, media, and content and doing. So like, how cool that he could ask, not advice, but a little bit like, how do y'all do that? Yeah. And it was like, he was sharing how he used to do it back in the day with Gary. And I was like, that's really awesome. So I've thought about the guest in the way of like, I want to have a nice conversation. And many of them I didn't know. And I just had a chance, like with Amy Porterfield, it was hilarious. I was so nervous with Amy Porterfield because she's a sweetheart. Yeah. But like, she is scripted. Her things are real. And back in the day, she was even more. Now she's a little bit more loose. Yeah. But I was just like, oh my God, I have to make sure it's all right. And I'm asking her the right things. And it has to be proper. Like, I was taking on her stuff. And I was like, no, I'm me. She's her. I can be crazy. And then I had to like slow myself down and like chill. And we kicked it off, and her eCam live wasn't working. Hilarious. And I was like, Amy, what are you doing? I'm like, so we're literally doing tech support. I'm freaking giving Amy Porterfield tech support because she has a guy that comes, and I learned it. So I was like, I don't have a guy. I know how to do it. You got to push this button and do this. And we're like, ha ha. And she's like, I wear pink because of you. And I was like, oh my God, like Amy Porterfield wore pink because of me. Like, that's so sweet. Like, really nice, you know? So, and one of my friends who's an amazing coach said to me, your peers. Just so you know, your peers. And she hung up, and I was like, I needed to hear that, because you don't want to get on the other line with the person you love and be like, oh my God, so like, I'm a fangirl. Because then that person is instantly in, okay, I have to perform. Versus, hey, Alicia, oh shit, man, these chairs are amazing. I love this camera. Anyway, we're chatting. I see you as a peer. You see me as a peer. It's more than likely that by the end of the episode, I'm gonna be like, hey, babe, do you want other people on the show? Like, send me a message on WhatsApp. And like, then you become friends with these people because you're not a weirdo to them and they're not scared. And I think that was a side hack that I could share with anyone. I wouldn't have known that if my friend didn't say to me, hey, you're peers, okay?
Yeah.
And I was like,
such good advice.
Huh? Are we? Are you sure? I was like,
say,
okay,
yeah.
I can be Amy Porterfield one day. You know, like I'm someone's Gary Vee. That's what my people say to me. They're like, you're my Gary Vee. Because I always talk about Gary on the podcast. I'm like, you're going to make me cry. So it is nice to have that. But also, I think when I hit them up, like I think Chris Do, I couldn't get to Chris on Instagram because I thought I couldn't because he had 965,000 followers. I was like, he is not about to reply to me on Instagram. And I noticed he started getting on LinkedIn. He was very new on LinkedIn. Little tip I'm giving you. And Hermosi's new on LinkedIn. That would have been the perfect time for you to get into Hermosi's on the LinkedIn when they first started. Yeah. Forget about it now because that's like, it's gone. But Chris is still building on LinkedIn. So he comments back. He writes back to people. So I spent like 2 weeks, 7 days probably, engaging on his LinkedIn back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then I just DM'd him. And I was like, hey, I would love to interview you. Here's why. I think you're amazing. I said something inappropriate that if he didn't like it, I didn't care. I was like, I feel like you're the Vietnamese Pharrell. He loved it. I don't know if he's Vietnamese, and I think he is Vietnamese. He is Vietnamese. That's why I said it. But I was like, you're like Pharrell, and he loved that. He was like, hilarious. Like someone, how dare you say that? But like, I feel like he's a Vietnamese Pharrell. So I just said it. You know? Yeah, it was me. And then I'm like, and I'm a legit podcaster. This is how many episodes I have, how many downloads. I've had Gary, I've had this person. So would love to chat. I think you're fucking awesome, whatever. And like, sorry, I don't know if I can swear.
Of course you can.
Okay.
You can swear all the time.
Okay, good. I was like trying, I was like,
oh,
crap.
No.
You know? Okay.
No, we've had some words on this podcast.
So I was just like, oh, I don't know. So like, and then he was like, yeah, let's do it. And my publicist, meanwhile, is trying to find an email for future. And then he's like, here's my email, which was not the email we found, by the way. It was some other email. And I was like, okay. So yeah, and I'm not going out trying to get these guests. I feel like I'm allowing the universe to bring certain people. And when I saw Caleb spoke at Taki's thing and I saw him on YouTube, and I was like, I like him. I don't like him because he's famous and Gary, and I don't care about that. Hermosi, they're just people. Yeah. But I liked him because I was like, I like what he said about Toyota and, you know, Aston Martin. And I like how he sees brand. And I'm doing that with the Queen's Table. So I'm like, I want to know, what do you think about these things? Like there's certain questions, like when you said you were interviewing him and you were like, there's things I'm going to ask him that no one else has asked him. I feel like that too. Because I don't need to have these people on my show. My solos go off. Yeah. So when you don't need it, versus a weekly show where there's interviews all the time and you're like scrambling. Not everyone doesn't scramble, but sometimes people want to scramble to get guests, and it's like that energy is not abundant energy, it's like scarcity. Yeah. And so I'm like, I have all the questions. Like no one's asked Christo about his kids, about therapy. Like it was not about graphic design. I don't care about that. And he was just like, we had some deep ass chats, and now we're friends. He's like, come to Pasadena. My wife is like Hamish. She's a spiritual lady. I'm not spiritual. So like I learned so much about him. And Stu McLaren, same thing. Like he went deep into his impact and his wife's impact, stuff that, I don't know, regular shows have missed. Yeah. And so I think that that's also cool about guesting, that you can go, hey, I'm not interested in that stuff, but I'd love to chat about you as the human, you know? Yeah, because they never get those questions. They get the same questions. And I've never had any of these questions before. Oh, good. So this cool. Is good. I know, but like how cool, you know? Like this is awesome. Like it makes someone open up in a different way. Because if they're like, oh, I got to do the same thing. Yeah, I got this. They're like not there.
It's the PR response. And like we spoke about this for such a long time on Instagram a few weeks ago. And it's like you ask them a question and they know exactly what the question is. And they know exactly how to answer it. Mm-hmm. And they just go into this default PR response. Yep. And a trick to get them out of it, if you ever have it, which you won't, because you are incredible at this. But one of the ones that we found when we did like the study and breakdown of like how Stephen Bartlett does it and all these other ones, if someone goes into PR mode, they'll often ask them a question about how they felt at that moment or what they saw or the emotion, or like try and get to bring them into their senses because it'll snap them out of PR mode. Yes. But people go in there all the time. They're like, to Gary, I could almost, and I know you can too, recite Gary Vee's like
100%
opening paragraph about how he does. I'm like, oh, yes, I know this.
Like, come on, guys, like
something new.
Do something else. And it's funny because I used to get people to research for me, and then I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to research. I want to watch stuff, and I'll allow myself to just find like Caleb and Christo. I didn't know they podcasted. And I was like, you get to choose what you learn, and then you have enough. And then you can go with the parts that are gaps that are missing. And it's nice versus like ChatGPT and asking your team to do it. It's like, you get in there, like follow them. Like genuinely, one of my publicity friends said to me, I thought I wanted to be on a bunch of podcasts. I'm not going to say them, but no shade. She's like, listen to them first before you go to pitch to them. And then I was like, oh, I can't listen past 5 minutes to this show. No. And she was like, yeah, see, you should listen before you decide, I want to be on this big show. And then I was just like, yeah, it was just like trash talky or, you know, tabloidy, or I don't care. Like, I don't care. If they ask me to come on, of course, but like, I'm not going to pursue a show like that just because they have high ratings. Do you know what I mean? So it was a really good insight.
Yeah, that's such a good point, even with guests.
Yeah.
Like, see what they say to a whole heap of different people. Totally. Talk to me about that prep. Like you mentioned, you watch a few of the podcasts and things that they've been on.
Yeah.
What else do you do to prep before you go on one of those big guest interviews?
I feel like if they have books or anything that like is easily consumable, not like I'm not going to read a massive book, but if I can do like skim something, I'll go onto their website. I'll always go on the About Me and learn about their bio. If there's a video, if there's a TEDx, like all of that, I'm like on their website trying to find everything about them, and then I'll follow them and like engage for 2-3 weeks because I want to know, how do they engage with people? What are they putting up on stories? How are they on LinkedIn? Where are they on YouTube? And I somehow, I don't know how, but I somehow find little things. Like Chris was like, oh, you did your research. And I was like, yeah. Because like I wanted to know about his story, his life, his migration, his family. Like, why are you like this? Like, did you do therapy? And, you know, I wanted to find nuances. I didn't want the same basic everything, like the same thing Gary always talks about. When I had Gary, he's very hard to interview as well because he just goes off. He started talking about his friend, some guy named Bill or something, and I was just like, okay, but like, you're scary. It's just scary. So you're like, Bill. And then he's like, you know what I'm saying, guys? And he's talking to his people, and I'm like, bro, we have 15 minutes, like 14:59. Like he was 14:59. Thank you so much, bye. Like he was not messing around. So I was like, Gary, wrap it up. But then like being able to ask him certain things or go, okay, tell me, lately you've changed and shifted, and what is that? Like, are you doing the work? Are you doing some therapy? Like, and he was going through his divorce. Yes. Hello, I didn't say that because I didn't want to get all up in his biz, but I wanted to know, like, you have shifted a lot, and your compassion, and you're this, why? And it was like, I had to work on my candor, and I had to work on I had to get therapy. I was like, so you got therapy? Like, I wanted you to say it. It's like, yes, Gary's doing the work. Like, I don't know anyone who's talked about that with Gary Vee. Like, they want to know about Bitcoin and V friends, and that's cool, but like, there's thousands of episodes of him talking about that. You know, it's like, what if you do find a guest, like, what is it that they haven't spoken about? And I love that with Stephen Bartlett, which I feel like he's a psychotherapist. I'm like, are you sure you're not getting your degree in therapy? Because he's fully on some therapy. I don't know if he knows, but it's wild.
Some of the questions he asked. When you look at, so we joined the inner circle of Diary of a CEO.
That's right. Yeah.
Crazy. You can see like the research that the team do. It's like 7, 8, 9, 10 pages. And like, you sound like you're doing that, but you're doing it in your own way. But like, they have all this information. And you think like, oh, he just sits down and asks some questions. No.
Like, and he's got a whole buttons and things. It's like all the tech. I struggle with that. Like, I don't know if it is because I'm ADHD or like a Gemini or a whatever it's called. I'm all over the place, but I'm someone like, I need to consume right before as well. Like I've watched that thing with Caleb and it's not till October. Cool, that's in there and I believe it's marinating. Then I'll watch something else. And then like 3 days before, I'll just be in Caleb's world.
Yes.
You know, I'm halfway through a 6-hour course. Gosh, it's long.
It's a long course.
It's a long course. Go on the treadmill, but I'm like, okay, he's amazing. And I've got the workbook and all that. But then it's like, how do we find things that I know people aren't going to ask him because they're interested in something else, and then still weave bits and pieces, you know, and like, what about the female lens? Like, does he talk to, he's talked to a lot of bros. The bros have got him. So it's like, okay, well, we help women and what are the issues you see? Because he's helped women, you know, it's like things like that. So I feel like I also love recent research. Like sometimes if your brain's not good with like remembering things and you don't have a team of 50 people, like, you know, Flight Story or whatever, then you can kind of feel fresh, like it's right on your mind. And then you can go, oh, and they love that. Like people love when you've done that, when you've really researched.
Every time I listen to a podcast, I get so excited about all the things I've heard. I can't wait to implement them in my business. And then life happens and I don't do anything with it. And I don't want this podcast to be that for you. I want you to take action and actually be able to implement these things that you're learning today. So head to the show notes or send me the word debrief over on Instagram and I'll send you all the key takeaways from today. Because the difference isn't what you know, it's what you do. Let's get back into the show.
And then we can, it's like do a little bit of work for it, you know?
At the
I know you're big on that.
Definitely. Of course we are. Yeah. But very different times as well. Like back in the day, even you just type in their name and you click on news in Google, you will find something for most people. Like a lot of people do the same in LinkedIn. Like you will find something or go on LinkedIn and then find their company and then find the company's news. Like there's so many ways you can find it. But now we live in a world of AI. I know. Now you have to, I have to disclaim, you have to be careful.
The fact check.
Yes. Oh my God. The amount of times we use it every day. We love it. We've built agents. We've got all of these things. But like sometimes it will tell you a story. Like we had this guy coming on and it was like, before he was in real estate, he sold ponies. And I was like, that's a very niche thing to say. And that's very odd. And he does not seem like the type of person that would sell ponies. And I'm like, okay, where's your source? And he's like, oh, I apologize. I'm not sure. Like, I was like, but people like you, I am obsessed with that. But there is some funny things that go in there. So yes, use AI, leverage AI.
Fact check it.
You
need to do your own work. That's 100% true.
Definitely.
And it's kind of nice when you don't know some stuff because I think some people feel stressed. Like I have to know everything about them. I have to impress them. And it is kind of nice because if you think about it, you're having a conversation with someone.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're just gonna chat. If that's cool, I've got some questions. But and I think one of the things that like we were talking before we started recording that I hate so much. If you ever interview me, okay, like we having a chat. Like my next question is, and then you say something that is valuable for them to go, oh, well, I don't know, tell me something back. So the next question, and Oprah talked about this because they interviewed Oprah at the School of Harvard, this young girl who was really nervous. And then she was like, my next question, and Oprah was like, did you hear my answer? What did you think about my answer? Let's have a conversation. And the poor girl, like she was trying to interview Oprah, imagine. But what a beautiful lesson for all of us watching going, yeah, like sometimes you ask a good question and then you don't even hit back with what that was about or take the lesson. It's like, it's a conversation. You get to chat with someone. It's nice. Like, it's a good thing, like it leads to so much and it's beautiful.
Definitely. And if you don't do your research, you have to look at these like every second because you've got no clue what's going on. And you'll see like Alex Cooper on Call Her Daddy does it really well. She'll got her stacks of cards. She's got like a book of cards.
Wow, that would stress me out so bad.
Much. I'm like, what happens if you drop them or they go in the wrong
that would
place
stress me out so bad.
It's a lot.
I can't.
But she hardly looks at them. And I think it's because she's genuinely, like, they're there for whatever reason they are. And she'll look at them sometimes, and you do see, like, her look at them. And, of course, she's looking when the guest is responding. But I feel like you have to be invested in the person you're interviewing.
You got to have beats. With Byron Katie, Hamish filmed a live, like, on Instagram at the time. And I didn't know. And when I'm telling you, I was at my desk, and I had not, like, little papers. I had A4, like, A5. With big questions, and I had them like taped everywhere. Like it was all over me because I was so nervous. I started crying when she walked out. Her little feet on Zoom. She didn't even come out. It was her feet, and I'm like, oh my God, crying. And then she's like, oh, darling. And then I was like, anyway, I'm sorry. She goes, no, let me honor that. And I was just like, oh my God, shut up. I'm crying. Like, let's keep going. But she was just so beautiful. So and then with Gary, I had a little tape like that. Yeah. So when people see the photo, you can see my questions to him because they were like, what are you going to ask him?
You have to.
You have to be like, what are you going to ask him? What do you want to talk about? And I was just like, and I think I had 6 questions and we got to 4. So I was like, oh, that's stressful when someone's like, let's go. What are you asking me? Because he was incredible. Like, and then it's weird because you want these people to know that you're also not some loser. Like anyone who's got a podcast, you've got a story, you value, you matter. Like Gary doesn't matter more than you. Like Caleb doesn't matter more than you. Like you matter. They've just been able to build something, put themselves out there, be audacious, and grow. So their visibility is bigger, but you matter just as much as they do.
Definitely. I'm going to pop the link to Gary's interview in the show notes. And if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to it. Like, it's 15 minutes, but I think what you've just said about weaving your story through, you did that so beautifully in that. Yeah. You were asking questions, but also, like, having a conversation.
Yeah.
And you would have been so nervous going into that. But let's talk about that because I think there will be so many people who've listened to this now. If they're not convinced to start a podcast, like I would be so shocked.
I know.
So they're convinced to start it. They're so excited. They're going to get these guests on. They've got this vision, this purpose, this impact that they're going to create. But they're really scared to start.
Yes.
How do they overcome that?
there is literally no overcoming the fear that you're going to feel and the stories that you're going to make up about why you shouldn't, who are you to do it. It's saturated. There's a million people. You're right. There's so many podcasts. There's so many people. There's so many stories. But what is not out there is the way that you see the world and the narrative that you have. And the people who I truly believe, and I said this in one of my books, I can't remember, but I believe that every human, woman, men, anybody, has a stage in life. Like we all have a stage. And if you don't step up on your stage and set in your spotlight, the people that came to see you and hear from you will never get to see you. Your stage is empty. And it doesn't matter that the stage next to you has someone on it and someone on it. It's like you have a specific message, especially if you're listening to this podcast with Alicia. Like if you're listening to this, if somehow you got brought here, we trust that you're here for a reason. And you probably are sitting on an amazing idea that could impact 1 or 1,000 or 1 million. Who knows? You actually don't have any idea how many people are being impacted by the podcast and the content you create. And so I say to women, like, stand in the spotlight, get on the stage, and you take nothing away from her spotlight, and you take nothing away from his spotlight. You're literally here to do what you came here to do, and trust that you will only attract the people that you can help. You will never attract anyone that you can't support. So if they're attracted to your show and they click play, like, trust that something brought them to you. You magnetize them, but they were also magnetized to you. So like it's this beautiful co-creation when you podcast that you have an ability to impact and share. And I think that we could question, we could second guess, we could perfection ourselves to death. And I'm a perfect example of how I did not have a good microphone. I didn't have good circumstances. I had my car, my kid in the back, an Apple headphone wired with these hoops. I'm pretty sure the same hoops. Clank, 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 and my e-tag beeping because we had no money. It was like, like you could tell. But I was just sharing. And it was like the top 6 podcast in Australia at the time when it came out. And I had no idea. And that's when I started freaking out when I was like, oh, people are listening, it's doing well. Ugh. And that's when my like imposter syndrome came in because I was like, oh no, I just did this as an outlet. There's people actually listening. And so just don't let that stop you. You're going to be scared 100%. You're going to mess it up. You're going to suck. You're going to suck so bad until you don't. You have to suck to be great. And there's somebody that needs to hear what you have to offer, and they're not going to hear it in the way that you're going to say it because only you can say it in that way. And so it's never a bad time. Like just start, go after it. And for me, what I believe about podcasting, it might not be the same, but like I really believe it is a playground. When you allow yourself to have fun and you don't take it too seriously and be too perfect, and it can make you money, and it can make your whole business blow up, and it can get you millions of opportunities. It's also serious and it's not. But I think if you haven't pushed start, you don't even know what's possible. And it's like, what are you waiting for? Like one day you're gonna die. So just do it.
Oh, mic drop. We just close it there. No, but I have a quote that has like rattled around in my head since you said it at an event. I think it was Business Chicks a couple of years ago. And it was, where in your life are you playing small to keep other people around you comfortable?
Yes.
And I think that when you talk about imposter syndrome and then have that on the back of it, like that for me at that time, I was like, oh, I was just a brand new mum at that time. Yeah. And I was like fitting into the new mum box and doing all the new mum things and not doing other stuff.
Yeah, not being a boss lady like you are and a mum.
Yeah, but I think that like if someone is feeling imposter syndrome, would you say that's a good thing to remind themselves of?
100%. And the thing is, I would say you're not an imposter. Like you're not dressed up like a fake police officer and you're not actually a police officer. You are literally learning. Like your baby's learning to walk or gonna walk soon. They're 9-month-old, right? So we don't say that baby's an imposter. No, we like, oh, that baby is learning. So if you are not sure what you're doing and you feel like an imposter, just be like, I'm actually learning. I'm not pretending to be someone I'm not. I'm learning how to do something that you literally won't know how to do it until you start doing it. And will it be not great initially? Possibly. But how do you fix that? Research, watch videos, listen to this podcast, hire some support, like watch a YouTube, get on ChatGPT, or what's the alternative? You could just do it with no experience whatsoever and learn on the go. At some point in time, you're going to become so good at it and you're going to be like, I can't believe it took me so long to start, because what's possible when you do it is like, sky is the limit, and it's amazing.
Yes. Like, yes. Yeah. I love it. I love it so much. You talk about being rather than doing, and we spoke about it a little bit earlier, but in this instance with podcasting, what would you suggest to someone to, you know, step into that, to get behind the microphone? Like,
yeah. Well, a lot of people will say to me like, I want to speak. And I'm like, then speak. but I'm not a speaker. And I'm like, speakers speak. Do you speak? Like, do you talk? Like, there's no getting ready to speak. There's no, I need to call myself a podcaster. I need to be, like, you are a podcaster. And back to the beginning, what I would say is, why are you doing it? Why does it matter what you have to say? Why does your show matter? Why does what you have to share matter? If you can't find that, close your eyes, spend some time being like, my show matters because the message I'm here to share matters because. And think about the person that would be listening to this. Think about the person that would be affected. And think about if your show doesn't exist, if your message doesn't exist, how do they suffer? And like that, Alicia, that, like, I'm not saying because of my podcast, I've helped women and they wouldn't have found another way. But if I take radical responsibility for supporting those women, and my podcast is the outlet in which I do that for free, like for me, I do it for free. I sleep so well at night knowing that I am adding value to the problem that I came here to solve. Yeah. And it's my responsibility. So literally, I feel like I'm here because of that. So many people don't know why they're here. Spend some time on your meaning, on your purpose, on how impactful the work you do is. And when you start to see that person, you can't unsee that. Like, there's no way that I'd be like, oh, I just can't do it today. Because I know from all the thousands of screenshots what that episode is doing or what that podcast is doing for someone. And there's so many I don't know. Yeah. So many people I don't know how it's impacting them. But like, push record, push go. Your voice is needed. Your message is needed. It's never been a better time. It's never been an easier time as well to do this. It's like, go out there and suck. Okay? Go out there and suck and allow yourself to suck and then watch how good you get because you didn't give up on yourself.
And I think, you know, we're talking about very deep meanings and whys here. And it could feel like you're listening to this and you're like, oh, but I don't have a big, huge why. But you don't need it. Like, we've spoken to, you know, Darcy and Klutz from Bloody Brilliant Beers. Like, their podcast is hilarious. It's what people listen to on a Monday because they want entertainment.
Because they want to be enjoying themselves.
But on the back of that, there's the guy who was like, you know, a recovering addict, and that was part of his process, was listening to that to have a laugh. There's people that want to learn. There's people that need, you know, their best friend in their ear. There's so much big impact you can have from a podcast.
Yeah. And you could just make people laugh. And you could just share, like, I literally just shared it because I wanted to share like my motherhood struggles of wanting to grow my business, and I wanted to share the process of becoming, and I honestly thought no one was listening. Like, I was like, no one's going to listen to this, but I was happy to still speak. So for me, it was like an outlet initially to get out what I wanted to whoever could hear me. And then when I knew people were listening, I was like, oh, you're listening? Come over here. I have more to tell you. You know? So like, you're right. It doesn't need to be some Oprah legacy of like, I'm changing the world. It could literally be like, I want to try my comedy skits. You know, I like, what's one of the podcasts that do so well? The crime.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
They love it.
Like crime.
Yeah.
Like motherhood, knitting, whatever. Like the niches are endless. So it's let's stop looking for reasons why you can't, and let's ask ourselves, what can I do? Like, what can I do? How can I start? And then you will find a solution to just get moving and get going and put it out there. And it has the ability to do so much for so many people. So I hope that this episode makes people push, publish.
I think now people will look at you today and you are the queen of confidence. You've done all this work, so much inner work. You've helped so many people. You've moved through all this stuff. Is there anything that you go back and tell that person when you were first starting the podcast? I
wish I would have started sooner, you know, like get it going. And I would have listened to Gary Vee because he was always like, start a podcast, start a podcast, start a podcast. I'm like, oh, I can't do all these things, but you can. And I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I had a lot of, who am I? You know, I'm no one. I can't do this. And a lot of waiting for people to discover me or someone to invite me, someone to give me permission. And I would just say, no one's coming. No one's coming to save you. No one's coming to ask you, hey, do you have something to share? Like, you have to be audacious enough to go, I have something important to say. I have a story, no matter how big or small your story is. Your story matters. What you have to share matters. And don't wait for anyone to invite you. Just create it for yourself. Because if you're listening to the show, hello, and you have it in there, you're just sabotaging. And maybe you're comfortable. Maybe you can sabotage. Maybe you have a job. Maybe you, I don't know. I could sabotage. And the second I couldn't, when stuff got real tight financially, and it was air quotes the worst time to start my business, that's when I did it. And I wish I would have done it when we had a little bit more resources. But yeah, it's never too late. I really think that the world needs more. And we're getting into this world, you know, better than anyone. Like, we love listening to podcasts. We love audio experiences. Yeah. And you know, I had someone the other day say to me, when are you going to put your podcast, like someone called me out on my YouTube short. She was like, I love you. I loved this episode. I got it in your email. When are you going to put your podcast on YouTube? I can't find them. And I said to my husband, we probably need to just put the podcast on YouTube. Like the people are speaking. And at my level, like that impacted me because I was like, I'm waiting right now as we record this, keeping it real, to have a perfect intro and have an editor. And it's like, you know what? You could just put it on there. And at least people who love your podcast, Erika, could watch it. Would they watch it? Yes, they would. Of course they would.
We have people watch podcasts. This is wild. This will blow your mind. So you can upload the RSS feed, which is like just the audio of your podcast to YouTube. We have thousands of people who watch a blank static image of the podcast to listen to it on YouTube.
Wow.
Like,
so see, like
we need to talk about this.
Even at this level, you could have unhelpful beliefs that are not true. Like no one wants just a little thumbnail. And I'm not even talking thumbnail, Alicia. I have the video. Every podcast I do is videoed. I'm outing myself, friends. I'm going to get hate mail. Like
it's
every
coming,
podcast.
Guys.
I know.
YouTube is coming. You heard it here first.
Putting it out there. Like it needs to go out there because it's like, but then I have this, my own idea of like, if I do YouTube, because I hold it at such a high regard and I never want to do anything half-assed. So similar to the people we're talking to about push record, even I'm struggling with this myself, but like at the end of the day, we just have to do it. We can't wait for things to be perfect because your audience will start asking you to put it out there. So
it's
first,
easier than ever to make it perfect. It's so easy.
That's true.
To make those intros, to get it all together, like especially if you've got a brand.
I'm in trouble now. See, we're doing this. Friends.
We got this. Okay, so people would have got so much value from you. You have uplifted so many people already. I am so certain of it. If someone wants that little bit of an extra push, they want to raise up their confidence even more. Maybe they want to speak on stages or have some grand plan that's now come to their mind with this all. Where can they find you and how can they work with you?
So I am always on Instagram at the Queen of Confidence. I'm obsessed. You can go there, DM me. I reply to my DMs, like even if it takes me a little while, but I do respond to my beautiful community because I love y'all. And the podcast, the Confidence Chronicles podcast, if you just type confidence anywhere, you will see it. And I share a lot there. And I share a lot of short, snappy, you know, try me before you buy me, just get a vibe. I swear a lot on that podcast. So, but the podcast, and then I have programs. So I help women that are just starting out in their business under 10K a month in my next level coaching program. And it's beautiful. It's a gorgeous community. And then for the ladies that are experienced and really want to be the go-to, they want to get on stage, they want to write books, and they really want to monetize their knowledge. They're done with one-on-one and they want to help mass. That's the Queen's Table. And that is awesome, and I love it. So, yeah.
It has been incredible watching you run those programs the last 12 months and seeing what they have achieved as well. So, guys, we'll pop that all in the show notes. If you have any questions, reach out to Erika. Say thank you for this beautiful podcast. And thank you for coming on.
I love you.
So
You're
much.
the best.
Thank you.